Hi YouTube. I figured it'd probably be best to make a video on installing a rear diff extension on a GX460, seeing how I haven't seen very many videos of them. So finding a different way to route them and all that. So I'm gonna just kind of give you a brief on a little bit what I did, where I'm routing it, and kind of where I think it might make sense. So once you get your set here, I ended up buying this one off of Amazon for 45 bucks or so. It does the same thing as probably the ARB one does, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Additional side note, I've got smaller hands, but while running the line, you might want to just go ahead and just lower or take off the spare tire if you got bigger hands. I was able to just kind of squeeze everything through. So side note for you guys who are a little bit larger than I am. So per the instructions, you want to take off this older, this is the newer one, but you want to take off the old breather, which looks like this, and then install this new one on there, and then we'll just kind of go from there. All right, so after you you run the thing, push this little hose into the shark bite. Make sure you give it a little bit of slack before you start tying things down. I was pretty much told that when the axles move up and down, if when you traverse, you don't want to just yank this off. So keep that in mind, and make sure once you do, just kind of tug on it a little bit. Make sure it's not loose or anything. So after you get that that breather installed, there's going to be a panel right here. It's going to be laying something like this. There's going to be a few screws here, so one here, one actually up in here, and then these two over here, and then the one on the side right here. Go ahead and take this off, and what you'll find under here is this little nipple right here. So what you want to do is you want to take a wire. What I ended up doing is I ended up taking one of these little radio cables, and I just kind of stuck it in there, and you'll feed it through. See if you can try to get it closer towards the rear of the vehicle. So after you feed that thing through a good amount, you want to take out the little spot where you have the spare jack and this little compartment here. What you should see is this cable here, the one that we fed through. And then from here, you can just feed the line all the way to the back, or to the front, rather. So pretty much from this point moving forward, what I'm doing is just prepping the hose. It didn't come with a 1/4-inch loom. You can buy a 100-foot or so for like 10 bucks on Amazon. I'll link all these things down in the description, so that way you guys can get to it. If you are bougie enough and you want the ARB one, by all means go ahead and go for that one as well. But you'll just take the end of the hose after you're done, prepping it and looming it up, tie it up into the, tape it up into the wire, and feed it down and through. So something else to keep in mind, and you'll notice it in the next clip, is if you end up deciding to loom it, what I think I ended up doing was just cutting the loom in two, and then I just essentially split loom. So loom the top, loom the bottom, and then fed everything through afterwards. All right, so what actually ended up happening when I tried to pull through is that this plug ended up coming out. So you could probably just pull out the plug at the bottom and then feed this through and then re-plug it back in. All right, so it should look like this once it's all in there. We're gonna go ahead and probably run this, and I'll probably see how I can show you guys how to run it, and then from there we'll put the cover back on and we'll run it through the rest of this underbody frame. Keep in mind that whenever you do take this little cover off, or even when you put it back on, there's a little nub right here that this cover piece latches onto. So just be sure that that's there, and you pop it out, it gets pretty stuck. That way you're not breaking anything. All right, so you stick this little nipple back in.
I ended up pulling a good amount through. I ended up looming a good chunk of it. So then what you're gonna do when you run it is you're just gonna follow essentially all the OE harnesses, right? So I ended up running it through to the back here to follow this one. And then if I can get this camera angle in here, it ended up coming up here. So it's about right here. And then I followed it up top. You can see the loom line. Stuck it up behind these pipes and these hoses here. And then brought it up here. So once you get it up to here, make sure you pull it a little bit more, give it some slack. I was pretty much told that whenever you do these differentials, and you see it in a lot of the other videos, that you want to give it a little bit of slack just in case the axle goes up and down or whatever the case is whenever you start traversing in like uneven spacing. So after that, go ahead and take a piece and just go ahead and stick it into the new little breather fitting here. It should be a shark bite, so you should be able to just kind of push it in. And then to check it, obviously just kind of pull on it a little bit. So go ahead, and after this, we'll just go ahead and we'll just tie everything up, make sure everything's kind of out of the way. Obviously this has a little bit slack in it, and then we should be good to go to install the little manifold up top.
So this next bit of footage is a post, and essentially it's a reverse direction of how I ran it, so I'll let it run from here.
Itself. It's been pushed in, secured. It's ran back to the back side of it, so we'll squeeze back here. And you can follow it here. So it's gone from here, and we're following these lines. We're going to come up. From there, you'll see that we've tied it to that little back tubing there. We followed essentially this little deal right here, gone all the way around. Followed it down this way. Go to the back side of that. And then we followed this line right here. So for that line, it's a little hard to see, but that right there is it. We came around and then we went up. Now on the underside of it, what you're going to see is you're going to find this little plug. I've gone ahead and I've put some essentially sealant, sticky, tacky thing on there to kind of keep the dust out. But there is a plug in there, and I'll just kind of show you where we pull it out and kind of reinstall it. Alright, so cable's pulled up. I have it going under this little wire here, not sure what that is. And then it's going to wrap around and then go right here. This is where I plan on putting this little filter here. I've already checked, there's nothing under here or behind it, so we can tap a couple screws in here, and then from there we'll just punch a hole right into it. Hopefully this lighting gets better. But punch a hole right into it and then mount it from there. Alright, so got it installed here. We went ahead and we shark bite and punched it in here. It's ran pretty much under this little box thing and to the bottom down there. So from here, we'll just stick on this little filter here and you're done. Alright, so this finished product here.